All right, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Friday, the day before the sort of Apple Cup. I know it doesn't hit the way it used to. I know it doesn't mean what it used to. How can it? The new model of college football just kind of makes it impossible for a game like this to matter as much as it used to. For one, we're playing it in September. Traditionally, the Apple Cup is in late November. And also, traditionally, it's a little bit more of an even fight, or at the very least, a manageable fight. Usually, it's not like this. So, it doesn't feel the same. It definitely doesn't hit the same, but we're playing the game regardless. They've kept the Apple Cup tradition alive for the time being. I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to, but this is not a traditional Apple Cup matchup at all. We are talking about a complete one-sided affair in theory. And it's to the degree, it's to the point where it doesn't feel right, because it's not like the Cougars never had bad seasons before. The Cougars definitely had bad seasons before this whole conference realignment thing. They definitely had bad seasons when they were in the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 or the Pac-8. But this feels like the game is kind of rigged from the start for them because of the NIL situation. They don't really have much of a chance. And I do wonder, and I'm sure that it's happened before, but when was the last time you had an Apple Cup in Pullman where not only is Washington State underdogs by 3 touchdowns, but the matchup predictor on ESPN gives them a 6.6% chance of winning? That is not really that radically different than the matchup predictor odds of a UC Davis victory last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather. So that tells you how imbalanced this is. And there have certainly been games in the Apple Cup history where the matchup was clearly imbalanced, but this feels different. This just feels, it speaks to why it's very sad college football has gone the way that it has. And you've lost things like this. But regardless, they're going to play this game tomorrow afternoon. Quick note, I will be live streaming it here on YouTube. Going to be going live at about 4:30. Going to stay live until the game ends. So the stream usually takes about 3.5, maybe even 4 hours. I'm usually in front of the camera for about 3 hours of it. So tune in. We'll have fun. We'll talk about whatever goes on. And we'll probably spin off into other conversation topics as well. It's hard to not. And we'll make our own fun, even if the game ends up not being very fun. So tune in. Going live tomorrow at 4:30, and we'll talk about the game. All right. One note, though. I won't be putting the game on my screen for very obvious reasons. I'm going to be watching the game on my TV and doing play-by-play, so don't come to my stream expecting me to show the game on screen. You guys know I can't do that. So, talking about this game, there really isn't that much to talk about. I wasn't sure what the Cougars were going to be this year. I thought they were definitely going to take a step back because they lost Mateer, and they didn't really do that much to replace him. Potter's been kind of sort of okay. But Washington State, so far this year, what we've seen, they took the big step back at quarterback. They can't really run the ball at all. I know that college football is dumb and factors sacks into rushing yards, but the Cougars are averaging like 2.5 yards, not even 2.5 yards a carry. And defensively, they have, I think, 2 turnovers through 3 games. And I mean, the results of the game so far have spoken for themselves. And speaking of something that speaks for itself, let me tell you a little bit about the Sleeper app. Before I go any further, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football this year, you are missing out on some great opportunities. Take a look on the left side of your screen right now. Look at all these great things you can do over there at any time you want to. Make all kinds of over-under picks. Let's take a look at my entry for this week. I got Bijan and Saquon scoring anytime touchdowns. I think both those guys are going to get in the end zone and help lead their team to big victories. I got Pat Mahomes going over 29.5 rushing yards. He's going to need to run the ball a lot because of the way that Chiefs offense is right now. And I got JSN going over 68.5 receiving yards. Got to keep going the over on JSN until he gives us a reason not to. You get on over to Sleeper, use my promo code SBN. You can get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Opening up operations in Washington State in October. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Welcome back. I think that spoke for itself pretty well. But yeah, back to the Cougars. We are talking about a team that needed the last couple of minutes to beat Idaho, the Vandals, and got completely blown out of the stadium against North Texas. So this is not even close to the Cougars team we saw last year. Last year, the Cougars team wasn't great, but they could beat you on any given Saturday. And I mean, we ended up losing to them. I think we all remember that. We ended up losing that game, and the Cougars were, at the very least, a little bit of a dangerous team. This team is clearly well behind that. So I need to see some real dominance tomorrow from Washington if I believe this team has a chance. So I'm looking at what North Texas did, and I understand this is a rivalry game. I understand it's on the road, but it's not that big of a travel. We're going interstate. Like, we're in the same state. Come on. Like, let's not over-exaggerate things. And there's a certain point where things like that should not matter. When you're playing a team that looks about equivalent to a team like Idaho and is getting blown off the field by North Texas, all that stuff should get thrown out the window. And I understand that some people say that, well, it's a rivalry, so all of that stuff should get thrown out the window too, but I need to see something big tomorrow. I need to see a very clean and efficient and effective game. I'm not looking for... I don't think we're going to score 10 touchdowns like we did against UC Davis, of course. That was a once in a... Quite frankly, for a team at the stage that Washington's at, that's a once-in-a-decade type game. You wouldn't expect, even if they got to play UC Davis again, you wouldn't expect them to score 10 touchdowns in 10 drives. But I expect something not that far off from that level of dominance. I mean, think about this. The matchup predictor is not that radically different for Wazoo than it was for UC Davis 2 weeks ago. So I'm not saying you got to score a touchdown every time you touch the ball, but I need to come away from this game feeling like Washington is far and away the better team. And I need to come away from this game feeling like this is giving me some indication that we can at least hang with a team like Ohio State, hang with these really good teams in college football, Oregon, because these rough matchups are coming. And there's some games on this schedule that you kind of already assume the team is going to lose. So I need to see some reason to believe that this team can at least hang in there against them and get it done in some of these tough games that they need to find a way in, like playing Michigan. Michigan doesn't look that good this year. I know it's on the road. You got to show me that you can hang in that game, because that's the kind of game that is going to kind of be the litmus test for if this season is a significant step in the right direction. So we got the Apple Cup. I expect good things. Most of the defensive line is healthy now. Remember, last game we played, whole defensive line was beat up. We were playing with a lot of backups up front. This game, I think everybody except probably Parker is going to be back. So my understanding is that this team should be pretty healthy. Therefore, I think that excuse wears itself a little bit thin at this point. I know that there are a couple of injuries on offense, but nothing massive, nothing huge. So in a game like this, it shouldn't really matter what the injuries are. Just go out and win. All right, once again, I'll be live streaming play-by-play of this game, so come on by tomorrow at 4:30. Gonna have some fun, and hopefully watch a big Huskies win that moves us to 3-0. I don't think it'll be enough to get us ranked, but let's build some momentum for this Ohio State game where you're going to be in a big hole in that against that team. You're going to be in a big position, or you're going to be in a position of powerlessness. So let's build momentum and let's show the world that we can take care of business against even a rival, a very weak rival. All right, that's really all I can say about it, guys. Let's see some dominance. Let's see a team that is locked in and taking this seriously. Let's not see what we saw back in week 1 where we let Colorado State hang around, and we actually made that a kind of interesting game for about 3/4. I don't want to see that. If I see that, then I'll suspect that this team just isn't ready for the big time yet. All right. See you guys later. Bow down to Washington. Let's get the win. Let's move on. Let's bury the demons of what happened last season a little bit and bow down.